The unexpected arrival. Captain Zara Voss stood at the helm of the Starfire, her eyes fixed on the swirling vortex of hyperspace outside the viewscreen. The small merchant vessel hummed softly as it sailed through the cosmic currents, ferrying its precious cargo of rare minerals from the outer colonies back to Earth. Zara ran a hand through her short, spiky black hair and sighed. Another routine run, another paycheck. But something about this trip felt different. A nagging sensation in the back of her mind told her that today would be anything but ordinary. As if on cue, the ship's proximity alarm blared to life. Zara's co-pilot, a stocky man named Hank, jerked awake in his chair. "What's going on, Cap?" he mumbled, rubbing sleep from his eyes. Zara's fingers danced across the control panel. "We've got company. Looks like an escape pod. Out here in the middle of nowhere." The Starfire shuddered as it dropped out of hyperspace. A sleek, silver pod drifted before them, its surface marred by scorch marks. No identifying markings were visible. "Should we bring it aboard?" Hank asked, suddenly wide awake. Zara hesitated. Their schedule was tight, and stopping to rescue every piece of space junk they encountered wasn't exactly profitable. But the pod looked intact. Someone could be alive in there. "Prep the tractor beam," she ordered. "Let's see who's knocking at our door." As the pod was drawn into the Starfire's cargo bay, Zara and Hank made their way down to investigate. The ship's other two crew members, Ava, the engineer, and Dr. Chen, the medic, joined them, curiosity evident on their faces. "What do you think it is, Cap?" Ava asked, her cybernetic eye whirring as it focused on the pod. "No idea," Zara replied, hand resting on the blaster at her hip. "But stay alert, could be trouble." The pod's hatch hissed open as soon as it touched down. Zara tensed, ready for anything, pirates, refugees, or worse. But nothing could have prepared her for what emerged. Two figures stumbled out, coughing and gasping. They were unmistakably alien, with skin the color of polished amethyst and hair that seemed to shimmer like starlight. Their features were delicate, almost ethereal, and their large, almond-shaped eyes glowed with an inner light. But most surprising of all was their uncanny resemblance to each other. Twins, Zara realized with a start. The aliens, both female, as far as Zara could tell, looked around wildly before their gazes settled on the Starfire's crew. One of them stepped forward, her voice musical yet tinged with desperation. "Please," she said in perfect English, "we beg for your protection and offer our services in return." Zara exchanged glances with her crew. This was definitely not what she'd expected to find when she'd woken up this morning. "Who are you?" she asked, keeping her voice steady. "And what exactly are you running from?" The twins shared a look before the one who had spoken answered. "I am Lyra, and this is my sister Vela. We were, princesses of the Astari Empire." Hank let out a low whistle. "Royalty, out here." Zara held up a hand to silence him. "Go on," she urged. Lyra wrung her hands. "Our father, the Emperor, arranged marriages for us to cement an alliance with a rival faction. But our intended husbands are cruel, power-hungry warlords. We couldn't go through with it." "So you ran," Zara finished for her. Vela nodded, speaking for the first time. Her voice was softer than her sister's, but no less urgent. "We stole an escape pod and fled, but our father's forces will be searching for us. If you turn us away, we'll surely be captured and forced into those horrible unions." "And what do you expect us to do?" Zara asked, crossing her arms. "We're not exactly equipped to harbor fugitive alien princesses." "We'll work," Lyra exclaimed. "We may be royalty, but we're not helpless. We can cook, clean, perform any task you require. Just please, don't send us back." Zara studied the twins, weighing her options. Taking them in could mean trouble, big trouble. The Astari Empire wasn't known for its forgiveness, and harboring royal fugitives could be seen as an act of war. On the other hand, leaving them to their fate didn't sit right with her. "Cap," Hank murmured, What are you thinking? Zara sighed. I'm thinking our lives just got a whole lot more complicated. She turned to the twins. All right, here's the deal. You can stay, for now. But the second you bring trouble to my ship or my crew, you're out. Understood. The relief on Lyra and Vela's faces was palpable. They nodded vigorously, tears glistening in their luminous eyes. Thank you, Vela whispered. We won't let you down. See that you don't, Zara replied. She gestured to Ova and Dr. Chen. Get them settled in the spare quarters, and find them some clothes that are a little less conspicuous. As her crew led the alien princesses away, Zara turned to Hank. Plot a new course. We need to lay low for a while, maybe hit up some of the frontier worlds where questions aren't asked. Hank nodded, a grin spreading across his face. You got it, Cap. You know, I always wanted to be part of a daring rescue mission. Zara snorted. Be careful what you wish for, old friend. Something tells me this is just the beginning of our troubles. As she made her way back to the bridge, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that she'd just set in motion events that would change not only her life, but the fate of the galaxy itself. For better or worse, only time would tell. Over the next few days, Lyra and Vela did their best to integrate into life aboard the Starfire. True to their word, they threw themselves into any task assigned to them, from helping Ava in the engine room to assisting Dr. Chen in organizing medical supplies. Zara watched them with a mixture of admiration and suspicion. They were quick learners, adapting to their new environment with surprising ease. But there was still so much about them that remained a mystery. One evening, as the ship cruised through a quiet sector of space, Zara found Lyra on the observation deck, staring out at the stars. Couldn't sleep? Zara asked, moving to stand beside her. Lyra shook her head. It's all so vast, she murmured. I never realized, in the palace, everything felt so confined, so predetermined. Out here, the possibilities seem endless. Zara nodded. That's why I became a spacer. Nothing beats the freedom of the open sky. She hesitated, then asked, what was it like? Growing up as a princess, I mean. A sad smile played across Lyra's lips. Not as glamorous as you might think. Every moment of our lives was scheduled, every decision made for us. We were symbols, not people. And now, Zara prompted. Now. Lyra turned to face her, eyes shining. Now we have a chance to discover who we truly are. Thanks to you. Zara felt a warmth spread through her chest, which she quickly suppressed. Getting attached would only complicate things further. Just remember, she said gruffly, this arrangement isn't permanent. Once we're sure it's safe, we'll need to figure out a long-term solution for you and your sister. Lyra nodded, but there was a determined set to her jaw. Of course, but until then, we'll prove our worth to you and your crew. You won't regret taking us in, Captain Voss. I promise you that. As Zara left the observation deck, she couldn't help but wonder if she already did regret it. Not because of anything the twins had done, but because of the growing realization that letting them go might prove harder than she'd anticipated. Little did she know, events were already in motion that would test not only her resolve, but the bonds of trust and loyalty among her entire crew. A bargain struck. The Starfire glided through the inky blackness of space, its engines humming a low, steady rhythm. Captain Zara Voss sat in her quarters, poring over star charts and trade routes, searching for a safe haven where they could lie low. The sudden addition of 2 alien princesses to her crew had complicated matters far beyond her initial expectations. A gentle knock at her door broke her concentration. Enter, she called, looking up to see Vela, the quieter of the twins, step inside. Pardon the intrusion, Captain Vela said, her luminous eyes filled with a mixture of determination and apprehension. There's something my sister and I need to discuss with you. Zara leaned back in her chair, eyebrow raised. All right, I'm listening. Vela took a deep breath. We haven't been entirely truthful about our situation. Before Zara could respond, the ship's alarm blared to life. Hank's voice crackled over the intercom. Cap, we've got company. A starry warship just dropped out of hyperspace, and they're hailing us. Zara sprang to her feet, fixing Vela with a hard stare. We'll finish this conversation later. Bridge now. As they raced through the corridors, Zara's mind whirled. Had the twins led their pursuers straight to them? Was this all an elaborate trap? The bridge was a flurry of activity when they arrived. Lyra was already there, her face pale with fear. On the main view screen loomed an Astari battlecruiser, its sleek purple hull bristling with weapon ports. "Open a channel," Zara ordered, straightening her posture and adopting her most authoritative tone. The screen flickered, revealing the stern face of an Astari male. His skin was a deeper shade of purple than the twins, and intricate golden tattoos adorned his forehead. "This is Commander Tavik of the Astari Imperial Fleet," he announced, his voice cold and imperious. "You are harboring 2 fugitives of the highest order. Surrender them immediately, or face the consequences." Zara felt the weight of her crew's eyes upon her. She glanced at the twins, saw the terror written plainly on their faces, and made a split-second decision. "I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding, Commander," she replied smoothly. "We have no fugitives aboard this vessel. We're simply a merchant ship going about our business." Tavik's eyes narrowed. "Do not attempt to deceive us, human. Our scans detect Astari life signs on your ship. Surrender the princesses now, or we will open fire." Zara's mind raced, searching for a way out of this deadly impasse. Suddenly, Lyra stepped forward, her voice ringing out clear and strong. "Wait," she cried. "I invoke the right of Sarvol." The effect on Commander Tavik was immediate. His eyes widened in shock, and he took an involuntary step back. "You dare," he hissed. Zara shot a questioning look at Lyra, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. Playing along, Zara addressed the Astari commander. "You heard her. The right of Sarvol has been invoked. Surely even your emperor must respect such an ancient tradition." Tavik's face contorted with barely suppressed rage, but he seemed unable to argue. "Very well," he spat. "You have 3 cycles to complete the rite. If you fail, we will destroy your ship and everyone on it." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. "All right," Zara said, turning to the twins. "You've got about 10 seconds to explain what the hell just happened before I space the both of you myself." Lyra and Vela exchanged glances before Lyra spoke. "The rite of Sarvol is an ancient Astari custom. It allows those of royal blood to prove their worth through a series of challenges. If we complete these challenges, we earn the right to choose our own path." "And if you fail?" Hank asked. Vela's voice was barely above a whisper. "Then we forfeit our lives and the lives of those who aided us." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. Zara pinched the bridge of her nose, feeling a headache coming on. "So let me get this straight. You've just volunteered my ship and crew for some alien ritual that could get us all killed." "It was the only way," Lyra pleaded. "If we surrendered, we'd be forced into those marriages, and you and your crew would likely be executed for harboring us. At least this way, we have a chance." Zara wanted to be angry, but she had to admit the twins had acted quickly to save them all from immediate destruction. Still, the danger was far from over. "Fine," she said at last. "But from now on, no more secrets. You tell us everything about this rite, and we figure out how to survive it together." "Understood." The twins nodded eagerly. As the crew gathered around to hear the details of their newest challenge, Zara couldn't help but feel a grudging admiration for the alien princesses. They'd shown courage and quick thinking in the face of danger, qualities she valued highly. Over the next few hours, Lyra and Vela explained the intricacies of the rite of Sarvol. It consisted of 3 trials: the trial of wisdom, the trial of courage, and the trial of sacrifice. Each trial would test not only the princesses, but the entire crew of the Starfire. As Zara listened, she began to formulate a plan. It was risky, borderline insane, but it just might work. And if they pulled it off, they'd not only save their skins, but strike a blow for freedom that could ripple across the galaxy. "All right, people," she announced, a fierce grin spreading across her face. "We've got 3 impossible tasks to complete and a warship breathing down our necks. But we've got something they don't: human ingenuity and a couple of alien princesses with a score to settle. Who's ready to make some history?" The crew's resounding cheer was answer enough. As they set to work preparing for the first trial, Zara caught Lyra's eye. The alien princess mouthed a silent thank you, her expression filled with gratitude and something else, a growing admiration for the human captain who'd risked everything to help them. Zara nodded in acknowledgement, pushing away the warmth that threatened to bloom in her chest. There would be time to sort out her confusing feelings later. Right now, they had a right to win and a future to secure. As the Starfire sped towards the coordinates for the first trial, none aboard could have imagined the earth-shattering consequences their actions would soon unleash upon the galaxy. Unveiling the truth, the Starfire hurtled through space, its engines pushed to the limit as it raced towards the site of the first trial. Captain Zara Voss stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the swirling nebula that loomed before them. According to Lyra and Vela, the trial of wisdom awaited them within its colorful depths. "All right, let's go over the plan one more time," Zara said, turning to face her crew and the alien princesses. "Lyra, you up first. What can we expect?" Lyra stepped forward, her starlight hair shimmering with nervous energy. "The trial of wisdom will test our knowledge and problem-solving abilities. We'll face a series of riddles and puzzles, each more difficult than the last. If we fail to solve them within the time limit, we'll be disqualified and likely destroyed." Hank let out a low whistle. "No pressure or anything, right?" Zara shot him a warning glance before addressing the group. "Remember, we're in this together. Lyra may be the one officially taking the trial, but we've all got her back. Ava, you'll monitor the ship's systems for any anomalies. Dr. Chen, stand by in case of any unforeseen physical effects. Vela, you're our backup if Lyra needs help. And Hank, yeah, Cap, try not to blow us up." As they entered the nebula, the ship's sensors went haywire. Brilliant colors swirled around them, and strange energy readings flooded their instruments. Suddenly, a booming voice echoed through the bridge. "Seekers of wisdom, your trial begins now. Solve our riddles 3, or meet your doom." A holographic display materialized before Lyra, showing an intricate series of symbols and equations. The alien princess's eyes widened as she took in the complexity of the puzzle. It's a quantum encryption algorithm," she murmured. "But unlike anything I've ever seen." Zara peered over her shoulder, her brow furrowed. "Can you crack it?" Lyra's fingers flew over the holographic interface, her face a mask of concentration. I'm not sure. The variables keep shifting, adapting to my inputs." As the minutes ticked by, tension on the bridge mounted. Sweat beaded on Lyra's forehead as she worked furiously to decipher the code. Just when it seemed she might fail, Zara noticed something. "Wait," she said, pointing to a section of the equation. "That pattern, it's similar to the fluctuations in our warp drive's energy matrix." Lyra's eyes lit up. "Of course, it's not just a static code, it's alive, evolving. We need to predict its next move, not just react to it." Working together, Zara and Lyra began to anticipate the algorithm's shifts, staying one step ahead. With seconds to spare, the final piece fell into place. The holographic display flashed green, and the booming voice returned. "The first trial is complete. Proceed to the heart of the nebula for your next challenge." As they navigated deeper into the swirling gases, Vela approached Zara. "That was impressive," she said softly. "I've never seen anyone work so well with Lyra before." Zara shrugged, trying to ignore the warm feeling in her chest. Just doing what needed to be done. Before Vela could respond, the ship shuddered violently. Alarms blared as Hank fought with the controls. "Cap, we've got a problem," he shouted. "Some kind of gravitational anomaly is trying to tear us apart." The view screen showed a terrifying sight. A miniature black hole had formed directly in their path, its immense gravity threatening to crush the starfire. This must be the second trial, Lyra gasped. The trial of courage. Zara's mind raced. They couldn't outrun the black hole's pull, and their shields wouldn't hold for long. They needed a plan, fast. Suddenly, an idea struck her, a crazy, potentially suicidal idea. Hank, plot a course directly into the black hole's event horizon. Are you insane? Ava shouted from her station. We'll be torn to shreds. Trust me, Zara replied, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. Ava, reroute all power to the forward shields. Vela, I need you to use your Astari abilities to create a quantum field around the ship. Can you do that? Vela nodded, her face pale but determined. As the crew scrambled to follow Zara's orders, the captain turned to Lyra. Your sister's going to need your help. Together, you might be able to create a field strong enough to protect us. As the twins joined hands, their bodies began to glow with an otherworldly light. The ship plunged towards the black hole, alarms screaming and metal groaning under the immense gravitational forces. Just as it seemed they would be crushed, a shimmering bubble of energy enveloped the starfire. The quantum field, amplified by the princess's powers and the ship's technology, created a pocket of stable spacetime around them. For a heart-stopping moment, everything went dark. Then, with a brilliant flash of light, they'd burst out the other side of the black hole, battered but alive. The booming voice returned, tinged with what almost sounded like admiration. The second trial is complete. You have shown true courage in the face of oblivion. Prepare yourselves for the final test, the trial of sacrifice. As the crew caught their breath, Zara couldn't help but notice the way Lyra and Vela were looking at her, with a mixture of awe, gratitude, and something deeper. She pushed the thought aside, focusing on the challenge ahead. But as they approached the final trial, none of them could have predicted the earth-shattering revelation that awaited them, a truth that would shake the very foundations of the Astari Empire and change the course of galactic history forever. The starfire limped towards the coordinates for the final trial, its hull scarred but intact. Captain Zara Voss stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the mysterious planet that loomed before them. According to the ancient texts, this world, known only as Xaxis, was the sacred site where the rite of Sarval would reach its climax. As they entered orbit, an eerie silence fell over the bridge. The crew exchanged nervous glances, each lost in their own thoughts about what sacrifices might be demanded of them. Suddenly, the ship's sensors lit up like a Christmas tree. "Cap, we've got company," Hank called out. "Multiple Astari vessels decloaking around us." Zora's heart sank as she saw the fleet materialize. Dozens of warships surrounded them, including the massive dreadnought of Emperor Zorn himself, the twins' father. A transmission crackled to life, and the Emperor's face filled the view screen. His features were harsh, his eyes cold as he regarded the human captain and his daughters. "So," he rumbled, his voice dripping with disdain, "you've made it this far. I must admit, I'm almost impressed. But your little game ends now. Surrender my daughters and your crew will be spared. Refuse, and you'll all be obliterated." Zara glanced at Lyra and Vela, saw the fear and determination in their eyes. She made her decision in an instant. "With all due respect, Your Majesty," she replied, her voice steady, "we've come too far to give up now. The rite of Sarval has been invoked, and we intend to see it through." The Emperor's face contorted with rage. "You dare defy me? I'm the supreme ruler of the Astari Empire. I will not be bound by some archaic tradition." As he spoke, Zara noticed something odd. A flicker in the Emperor's image, almost imperceptible. She narrowed her eyes, an idea forming. "You know," she said casually, "for someone so opposed to tradition, you seem awfully invested in forcing your daughters into arranged marriages. Why is that, I wonder?" The Emperor's image wavered again, more noticeably this time. Lyra and Vela gasped in unison. "It can't be," Vela whispered. Zara pressed on, her suspicions growing stronger by the second. In fact, Your Majesty, I'm beginning to wonder if you're even the real Emperor Zorn at all. The image on the screen flickered violently, and for a moment, another face appeared, younger, crueler, with a scar running down one cheek. Tevek, Lara cried out. But how? The hologram collapsed entirely, revealing the true face of their enemy. Commander Tevek sneered at them, his carefully constructed facade in ruins. Clever human, he spat, but it changes nothing. I've worked too hard, planned too long to let you ruin everything now. As the truth unfolded, the pieces fell into place. Tevek had orchestrated the entire charade. The arranged marriages, the twins' flight, even the rite of Tarval itself. It had all been an elaborate plot to seize control of the Astari Empire. What have you done, thou father? Vela demanded, her voice shaking with fury. Tavek's laugh was cold and mirthless. The good emperor has been indisposed for some time now. Don't worry, he's alive, for now. But once I eliminate you and your meddlesome human friends, there will be no one left to challenge my claim to the throne. Zara's mind raced, searching for a way out of this deadly situation. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and trapped in orbit around a mysterious planet. But as she looked around at her crew, human and Astari alike, she realized they had one advantage Tavek couldn't match. You're wrong, Tavek, she said, a fierce grin spreading across her face. We're not beaten yet. In fact, I'd say the real trial is just beginning. With a nod to Hank, Zara initiated the desperate plan she'd been formulating. The Starfire's engines roared to life, and they dove towards the planet's surface, weaving through a hail of weapons fire. As they breached the atmosphere, strange energy readings flooded their sensors. The planet itself seemed to be coming alive around them, responding to the presence of the Astari princesses. The trial of sacrifice, Lyra breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. It's not just a test, it's a key. As they raced across the alien landscape, pursued by Tavek's forces, the true nature of Xerxes revealed itself. It wasn't just a sacred site, it was an ancient Astari superweapon, designed to be awakened only in the Empire's darkest hour. With Tavek's fleet closing in and time running out, Zara and her crew faced an impossible choice. To activate the weapon and save the Astari Empire, one of the twins would have to sacrifice their royal essence, effectively becoming human. As Lyra and Vela argued over who would make the sacrifice, Zara realized there was another option, a truly human solution that would change the course of galactic history forever. With alarms blaring and the ship shuddering under enemy fire, Captain Zara Voss prepared to make a sacrifice of her own, one that would redefine the very meaning of courage, loyalty, and love across the stars. The pursuit begins. The surface of Xerxes was a kaleidoscope of impossible colors and otherworldly landscapes. The starfire weaved through crystalline spires and fields of pulsating energy, Tavek's fleet in hot pursuit. Inside the ship, tension crackled like electricity as Captain Zara Voss revealed her audacious plan. We're going to split up, she announced, her eyes blazing with determination. Hank, you'll take Lyra and half the crew in the Starfire. Lead Tavek's forces on a wild chase. Buy us as much time as you can. Hank nodded grimly, understanding the gravity of his task. What about you, Cap? Zara turned to Vela, extending her hand. You and I are going to find this superweapon and figure out how to activate it without sacrificing either of you. Vela's luminous eyes widened. But the ancient texts clearly state. To hell with the ancient texts, Zara interrupted. I didn't come this far to let some dusty old prophecy dictate our fate. We make our own destiny. As the crew prepared to split up, Lyra approached Zara, conflict evident on her face. I should be the one to go with you, she said softly. I'm better versed in Astari lore. Zara shook her head. Your knowledge will be crucial in keeping Tavek distracted. Besides, she added with a wink, your sister and I make a pretty good team. A flicker of something, jealousy, passed over Lyra's features before she composed herself. "Be careful," she whispered, embracing Zara tightly. Moments later, the Starfire's escape pod jettisoned, carrying Zara, Vela, and a small team towards the planet's mysterious core. As they watched the mothership streak away, leading a significant portion of Tavek's fleet on a daring chase, Vela turned to Zara. "You do realize we're likely flying to our deaths," she said matter-of-factly. Zara grinned, the thrill of danger singing in her veins. "Probably, but what a way to go, huh?" As they descended deeper into Xaxis, the laws of physics seemed to bend around them. Gravity fluctuated wildly, and time itself appeared to warp and twist. Strange, ethereal beings flickered at the edge of their vision, gone when they tried to focus on them. "This place," Vela murmured, her voice filled with awe. "It's not just a weapon, it's alive." Zara nodded, her hand instinctively finding Vela's. "And I bet it's been waiting a long time for someone worthy to wake it up." They landed near what appeared to be an ancient temple, its architecture defying Euclidean geometry. As they approached, glass carved into the walls began to glow with an inner light. "It's responding to your presence," Zara realized, watching as the symbols rearranged themselves before their eyes. Vela's face was a mask of concentration as she deciphered the ever-shifting text. "It's a riddle," she said. "A test." "Of course it is," Zara muttered, "because this whole experience hasn't been enough of a cosmic pop quiz already." As Vela worked to unravel the temple's mysteries, Zara's communicator crackled to life. Hank's voice came through, strained and punctuated by the sounds of weapons fire. "Cap, we've got a problem. Tavek's figured out our ruse. He's splitting his forces. You've got incoming." Zara swore colorfully. "How long?" "Minutes, maybe less. Whatever you're going to do it fast." As if in response to the urgency of their situation, the temple doors began to grind open. Vela turned to Zara, her expression a mixture of fear and exhilaration. "I solved it," she said. But what?" Vela took a deep breath. "The weapon can only be activated by a true heir to the Astari throne, one who embodies both the old ways and the new, one who has been transformed by their experiences." Zara's heart sank. "So we're back to the sacrifice play. One of you has to give up your royal essence." But Vela was shaking her head, a strange light in her eyes. "No, Zara, don't you see? We've already been transformed. By you. By this journey. We're not the same princesses who fled our home in an escape pod." Understanding dawned on Zara. "You mean?" "I mean, we don't have to choose between Lyra and me. We can both enter. Together." As the sounds of approaching ships filled the air, Zara made a split-second decision. "Not just you," she said firmly. "All of us. Whatever happens in there, we face it as a team." Hand in hand, human and Astari, they stepped into the heart of the ancient temple. The doors sealed behind them, cutting off the chaos of the outside world. Before them stretched a vast chamber, at its center a swirling vortex of pure energy. "Okay," Zara said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Now what?" Vela squeezed her hand. "Now we take a leap of faith." Together, they stepped into the light. Pain unlike anything Zara had ever experienced coursed through her body. She felt as if she were being unmade and remade on a molecular level. Beside her, Vela cried out, her form shifting and warping. Just when Zara thought she couldn't bear another second, the pain subsided. She opened eyes she didn't remember closing and gasped. The chamber had transformed into a vast control room, holographic displays floating in the air around them. And Vela was glowing with an inner light, her appearance a perfect blend of Astari and human features. "It worked," Vela breathed, looking at her hands in wonder. "We've become something new, something more." Zara felt it too, a sense of expanded consciousness, of connection to the very fabric of space and time. Somehow, she knew exactly how to operate the ancient Astari systems before her. Tavek's not going to know what hit him, she said with a fierce grin. As they prepared to unleash the full power of Xerxes, Zara couldn't help but marvel at the twist of fate that had brought them to this moment. A simple merchant captain and a runaway alien princess, now poised to reshape the destiny of an entire empire. Whatever happened next, one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again. A new beginning. The ancient control room of Xerxes hummed with power, its holographic displays dancing with information that would have been incomprehensible mere moments ago. Captain Zara Voss, her consciousness expanded beyond anything she'd ever imagined, worked in perfect synchronization with Vela, their movements a graceful dance of human intuition and a starry precision. Tavek's fleet is entering the upper atmosphere, Vela announced, her voice resonating with newfound authority. We need to act now. Zara nodded, her fingers flying over the ethereal controls. Initiating planetary defense grid. Let's show these 1AB usurpers what real power looks like. The surface of Xerxes came alive, ancient weapon systems awakening after millennia of slumber. Beams of pure energy lanced upward, cutting through Tavek's ships like a hot knife through butter. The usurper's triumphant advance quickly devolved into chaos as his forces scrambled to retreat. Hank, do you copy? Zara called into her communicator. Get the Starfire and any friendly ships to these coordinates. We're about to open up a can of whoop-ass, and I don't want you caught in the crossfire. Copy that, Cap, came Hank's relieved reply. You would not believe the light show we're seeing up here. Whatever you did, it's working. As the battle raged above, Zara and Vela delved deeper into Xerxes' systems, unlocking secrets that had been lost to time. They discovered that the planet wasn't just a weapon, it was a seed, capable of terraforming entire worlds and jump-starting new civilizations. This changes everything, Vela breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. With this power, we could end resource wars, colonize uninhabitable planets, bring life to the furthest reaches of the galaxy. Zara grinned, caught up in the excitement of possibility. Not bad for a day's work, eh, princess? Their moment of triumph was interrupted by a transmission cutting through their communications. Tavek's face appeared on a holographic screen, his features contorted with rage and desperation. You think you've won? He snarled. You have no idea what forces you are dealing with. The old empire is dead. I am the future. The only future you have, Tavek, Zara replied coolly, is in a very small, very secure prison cell. That is, if you survive the next 5 minutes. With a gesture, she cut off the transmission. Turning to Vela, she saw her own determination mirrored in the Astari's eyes. Ready to end this? Vela nodded, a fierce smile playing on her lips. Let's rewrite history. Together, they activated Xerxes' ultimate function. The planet shuddered, energy coursing through its core. In space, a massive portal began to form, swirling with colors beyond human comprehension. All friendly ships, this is Captain Voss, Zara broadcast. Proceed through the portal immediately. Trust me, you don't want to be on this side when it closes. The Starfire, along with the remaining Astari ships that had turned against Tavek, streaked towards the swirling vortex. Tavek's dreadnought, crippled but defiant, moved to block their escape. Oh no, you don't, Zara muttered. With surgical precision, she targeted the enemy flagship's engines, leaving it dead in space. As the last Allied ship passed through the portal, Zara felt a moment of hesitation. You know, she said to Vela, once we do this, there's no going back. The Astari Empire as you knew it will be gone forever. Vela took Zara's hand, intertwining their fingers. Good, she said firmly. It's time for a new beginning, for all of us. With a shared nod, they initiated the final sequence. Xerxes began to fold in on itself, the portal collapsing as reality warped around them. The last thing Zara saw before the blinding light engulfed them was Tavek's ship being torn apart by the gravitational forces. Then, darkness. Zara awoke to the familiar hum of the Starfire's engines. For a moment, she wondered if it had all been a dream. Then she felt a warm hand in hers and opened her eyes to see Vela smiling down at her. "Welcome back, Captain," the Astari princess said softly. "You had us worried for a while there." As Zara sat up, taking in her surroundings, she realized they were in a part of space she didn't recognize. Outside the viewscreen, a breathtaking nebula painted the cosmos in swirls of purple and gold. "Where are we?" she asked, her voice hoarse. "Home," came another voice. Laura entered the med bay, her face a mixture of relief and excitement, or rather, our new home. Xerxes transported us to a previously uncharted sector of the galaxy, and it brought a few friends along for the ride. She gestured to the viewscreen, where Zara could now see dozens of ships, Astari vessels alongside craft from various other species. A fleet of survivors and explorers ready to forge a new destiny among the stars. "The planet itself is gone," Vela explained, "but its energy lives on in us. In all of us who made the journey, we have the power to shape this new realm as we see fit." Zara shook her head in amazement. "So, what now? We just start over, build a whole new civilization from scratch?" Lyra and Vela exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them. "That's one option," Lyra said carefully. "But we were rather hoping you might have some ideas of your own. After all, none of this would have been possible without you." Zara looked from one sister to the other, suddenly understanding the unspoken offer. A chance not just to explore this new frontier, but to lead it. To take everything she'd learned as a scrappy merchant captain and apply it on a galactic scale. "You know," she said slowly, a smile spreading across her face, "I always did want to try my hand at being a queen." Vela laughed, the sound like music. "I think Admiral might be more appropriate, or perhaps President." "Hey now," Zara protested with a chuckle. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves. How about we start with a good old-fashioned democracy and see where it takes us?" As they began to plan for the challenges and adventures that lay ahead, Zara felt a sense of purpose and belonging she'd never known before. She had started this journey as a lone wolf, out for no one but herself. Now she was part of something greater, a family, a community, a legacy that would span the stars. The path forward wouldn't be easy. There would be obstacles to overcome, difficult decisions to make, and the ever-present unknown of deep space to contend with. But as Zara looked at the faces of her crew, human and alien alike, she knew that together they could face anything the universe threw at them. After all, they had already rewritten history once. Who was to say they couldn't do it again? As the Starfire cruised into the heart of the nebula, carrying the hopes and dreams of a fledgling civilization, Zara Voss, former merchant captain, reluctant hero, and now leader of a cosmic exodus, allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. The universe, it seemed, had a funny way of working out. All it took was a pair of fugitive alien princesses, a dash of human ingenuity, and the courage to reach for the stars.